Alright guys, today is a really exciting day. You know, I'm in the middle of the ball python breeding season, and one of my females laid eggs about a week or two ago, and ever since then I've been going through all my females, opening the drawers twice a day looking for more ball python eggs, and today I found my second clutch of eggs from a big lemon blast female. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to set those up, and I'm going to show you how I set them up and kind of go through the whole process, put them in the incubator, we'll check out those eggs. Then the crossing, the pairing was actually my Coral Glow 100% het pied male crossed with my Lemon Blast. So I'm hoping actually for a Coral Glow Lemon Blast offsprings in about 2 months when those eggs hatch. So let's go ahead and set up those eggs. Okay, so I have quite a few tubs here, and the one that actually has the eggs in it is this one right here. I opened it up this morning, and to my surprise, she has a whole clutch of nice pearly white eggs. Check that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this camera up on a tripod. We'll pull those out and set up those eggs. Alright, so here we go. This is the clutch of eggs from the female, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove this female from the eggs and see if she has any more eggs in her body. See if she's actually laid all the eggs, and so far from what I can see, it looks like she might have laid, well, she actually has a couple more eggs right at the base here. You can see she has 2 more eggs right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this female to another tub here and let her lay those last couple eggs. Right over here. And then I'm just going to work with these eggs right here. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eggs. And it looks like she still has 2 more in her belly. And it looks like, based on this one right here, it looks like she was kind of still in the process of laying them. And I like to get them in the incubator as soon as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some of these disposable gloves. And there was actually a question about the position of the eggs. So what I like to do is I like to actually take all the eggs apart and candle them and see if the embryo is on top. And some people are saying that the embryo they should actually be incubated the position they were laid. And there's actually a difference. Sometimes I found that the embryo is not always on top when they're actually laid like this. So what I'm going to do is just kind of make a quick mark on the tops with one little spot here. So this is the position they were laid. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate them, and then we're going to candle them and see if the embryo is actually the position they were laid, which is kind of interesting. So you can definitely tell this one's really goopy over here. This one right here, these were just laid not long ago. They're starting to firm up a little bit, and they're sticking on the bottom just a little. And when they're first laid, they're really easy to take apart. That's why I really want to get them as soon as possible. You can see those are some beautiful eggs. Take a look at those. Alright, so we are going to pull these apart. Coming apart really easy because they haven't been laid that long. That's why I really like to get in there right away. I really don't like to get in there if they haven't laid them all. I kind of jump the gun a little bit, but I like to get them to where I can easily separate them. And the thing about the gloves is you really want to keep them, as sterile as possible, because they're going to be in the incubator for 2 months. It's a 60-day incubation, so you really don't want a lot of bacteria and stuff from your hands getting on the eggs. And it doesn't really have to be a completely sterile environment. You just want to minimize exposure as much as possible. So those separated really easy because they were laid, fairly recently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to candle these. And let me just turn the light off here. And we'll do a quick candle. And this one looks like the embryo was really close to the position where it was laid. This one, look at this one. This embryo right here, well, that one was close too, close to where it was laid. And I find some of them are actually really close and some of them are off. So here the embryo is right there, and the position it was laid was actually, it's pretty close. And then this one was pretty much spot on that one. This one was pretty close as well. Not too bad. This one was off by quite a bit. You can tell it was right here. This one looks like the embryo was here, and it was laid actually way over here. So these are all pretty close, but I've actually seen where they're completely opposite on opposite sides of the egg, and that's why I always like to candle them and make sure the embryo is in the right position. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to show you how I set up my egg box, and I'll go through and put these in the egg box. Okay, so this is how I'm setting up my egg boxes. I'm using these little plastic shoe boxes that you get on, I think I got them on the internet. You get them like at the dollar store for $1 a piece. And I'm also using some vermiculite. So this is just vermiculite that I get from Home Depot or Lowe's or a hardware store like that. And what I do is actually weigh it out by the grams. And hopefully I have enough vermiculite here. I have some more in the garage if we run out. But what I want to do is I want to put 200 grams of vermiculite. And looks like we're going to run out. It's going to be close. That is 184. Let's see if I can get a little bit more. So I'm up to 185.7 grams. So it's 187 grams. I'd say that's close enough. So what you really want to do is you want to mix your vermiculite weight, the 50-50 with your water weight. So you have 187 grams of vermiculite. We want to clear it. And then we want to add 187 grams of water. And I use a syringe because it's a lot easier. And my water is pre-warmed to 90 degrees, and that's what the temperature of the incubator is. So we're up to 101 grams, 145 grams, 160, 170, 180, 187.9. I overshot by 0.9 grams, which is fine. It's close enough. Doesn't have to be really exact. So then what I do from here is kind of mix it up by hand. And we definitely want to use gloves to make sure you don't contaminate as much as possible. You know, some people really go all out and they bleach their eggs and all this, and I'm just trying to basically, use a little caution as far as, getting too many contaminants in here. I have pretty good success with just using, gloves and trying to avoid really getting it too contaminated with my hands. You can also bleach your hands before you do it. That's another option. And really you just want it to where it clumps up a little bit like that. So then what you do from here Just kind of level it all out, make sure it's nice and level all the way across. And then from here, what you want to do is you want to put, I use these little screens from, I bought them on eBay actually, from China. And I just cut the corners off and they fit in here perfectly. And then from here, I want to put the eggs in here, and I want all the embryos facing up. So I actually have all the eggs right here. Let me throw them in here. And usually what I'll do is I'll limit the number of eggs to 7. So when she lays those last 2, I might put them, I might be able to squeeze them in if I get enough space here. But what I try to avoid is having the eggs touch the sides, because really what happens is the condensation runs down the sides. And actually, let me check on that female. She might have laid that last couple eggs. Yep. Sure enough, she laid those eggs. Take a look at this. I'll just kind of show you right here. She is over here. I'm moving the whole tripod and everything, and she moved the egg. She laid the eggs really easy, which is good. That means she's not egg bound. And look at how goopy these eggs are. Really super goopy. And what I'm going to do is, she's trying to get away. I'm just going to steal these eggs out of here. Wow, look at this one. Oh my goodness. This one is, really super. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it is like super goopy. Really like jello, like a sack of gel, really. It's really wild when they lay the eggs like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her back in here, just kind of temporarily. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to candle these last 2 eggs here and see where the embryo is on these 2. So let me turn off the light again and take a look at these. This is the one that's not so goopy. And look at the embryo on that one. How amazing it is. It's just pretty incredible. And it seems like the more you can, the earlier they're laid, the fresher they are, the more you can really see inside. And you can see the embryo kind of moves around like that. That is definitely where you want to put it up. And then here's this goopy one, the really goopy one. This one, I don't even know. Wow, look at this thing. Look at how goopy it is. It is really wild. I rarely get one this fresh right out of the snake. That is the embryo right there. So I figured, we could probably fit 2 more in here. It's going to be pretty tight. I've never actually fit that many eggs in an egg box, but I think it'll be okay. That is pretty wild. As a matter of fact, being super goopy like that, that may actually firm up and stick to the ones around it, which would be interesting. And within no time at all, they turn into like a leathery type of kind of a material on the egg. Alright, so that is my whole box of eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 eggs. Wow, that is a lot of eggs. We're going to have some awesome hatchlings. And I know if you're looking for some coral glows, we'll definitely have, 50% of these on average will be coral glows. So we're looking at least 4 or 5 coral glows. Hopefully, I really want to hold back a lemon blast coral glow and maybe sell my male and upgrade my coral glow, which would be pretty cool. But the other thing is I want to keep my coral glow long enough to cross with my pied female so I get a pied coral glow, which is another thing I'm really shooting for. Alright, so from here what we do is we're going to use some press and seal. Just put it right on the top. And this seals in the humidity for 60 days. And what I've actually been doing lately with the press and seal is I go through every 2 weeks and just kind of replace the press and seal, check on the eggs, and replacing the press and seal kind of reduces, eliminates the condensation that you get under the press and seal, so it's not really raining down on the eggs, which you really don't want. And then from here, I just put on the lid and I'm going to put it in the incubator, but before I put it in the incubator, I want to label this with the pairing, the date hatched, the date laid, and the date expected of hatch. Okay, so here's some of the equipment I use for labeling my boxes. First, I use my iPhone and I ask Siri, what's going to be the date in 60 days? And she says it's going to be Tuesday, May 28th, 2019. So I get my 60-day point from here, and then what I do is I actually label I have two different labels. One is, this is kind of how they're set up. This is the laid date and the hatch date, and then the pairing, the lemon blast with my coral glow. And what I do is I put 2 on the top, and then I'll put 2 on the front. So if I stack boxes in the incubator, I can see it from the front. If I pull one out, I can see it from the top. And if I mix up the lids, especially, then I know I have it labeled on the side of the box, so I know for sure what the pairing is. Oh, and another thing is, this is the printer I use. It's a little label maker. These are fairly expensive, these little Brother P-Touches, but they are fantastic. I use this so often. I do all my labels on all my rats and my tubs and everything. I'm using this probably at least once every week or two, and during the breeding season when I'm cranking out the eggs, I use it quite a bit more than that. Alright, so this is my incubator. I actually made this incubator out of a beverage cooler. It was a brand new cooler with a bad compressor, and the guy sold it to me. And I put a bunch of heat strips and a thermostat controller, and last year I hatched over 100 hatchlings out of this incubator. It's pretty amazing. So I put the eggs right on the second shelf here. I have another clutch that was really big that took up 2 boxes right here. That was about 2 weeks ago. And then this one, I have 60 days before this hatches, and this hatches actually on the 14th of May. So I'll start having little baby hatchlings coming out about the middle of May, which is really exciting. So another big snake that I'm hoping lays eggs this year is Lucy. She is my 60-pound dwarf reticulated python. She's 50% dwarf. The mate is Sunny here. He is part super dwarf, so he's going to be a little bit smaller, but he's still a 30-pound snake, still pretty good, pretty big size. And if Lucy lays eggs, she'll probably fill half that incubator. She might have, between 40 and 50 eggs, which would be pretty awesome. All right, so there you have it. If you missed out on buying some coral glows last year, you have about a 60-day wait before some of these start hatching out, and it's probably, I'm not sure about the timing. I'm not sure if it's going to hit the next reptile show or not. It's usually 60 days, and then I try to get several rodents into those hatchlings before I actually bring them to the show. I know there's a show coming up in I think it's about 12 weeks from now, so it's going to be really close. Maybe I won't have them at the next upcoming shows, but definitely this fall I'll have some coral glows for sale. Hopefully if those eggs actually hatch. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.